14th, 2021 regular Wasilla City Council meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, council, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business to attend to during the meeting, please move for a recess. Also, when speaking, please remember to state your name for those streaming the meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Rausa.
Here.
Councilmember Burney.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Velock.
Here.
Councilmember Harvey.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Madam Mayor, with Councilmembers Rausa, Burney, Johnson, Brown, and Velock participating with us in person. Councilmember Harvey is telephonic.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Crystal, if you would lead us. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item of business is approval of the agenda. Is there any changes? Hearing none, the agenda will stand as presented. The special orders of the day is the Mayoral Proclamation honoring Flag Day. City of Wasilla Proclamation honoring Flag Day. Whereas the Second Continental Congress adopted the American flag on June 14, 1777, and whereas in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson marked the anniversary of that decree by officially establishing June 14th as Flag Day. And whereas in 1949, in commemoration of the adoption of our flag, the Congress, by joint resolution, designated June 14th of each year as Flag Day, and requested an annual presidential proclamation designating the week in which June 14th occurred as National Flag Week, a call upon citizens of the United States to display the flag during the week. And whereas the American flag symbolizes the strength, honor, values, and the patriotic ideals and spiritual qualities of the citizens of our nation. And whereas each year on June 14th, we celebrate the birthday of the Stars and Stripes in the city of Wasilla and the state of Alaska. And whereas the flag reminds us of our fidelity to our country, allowing every citizen to draw inspiration from the symbol of our past, our present, and our ideals of the future, waving as a shining beacon of freedom for the rest of the world. And now, therefore, I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor of the City of Wasilla, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2021 as Flag Day in Wasilla, and I encourage all citizens to observe, honor, and reflect on the foundations of our nation's freedom. Dated this 14th day of June 2021. Next on the agenda is Commission and Agencies reports. Mr. Giddings will begin with a report on the Planning Commission, followed by a report on the Airshow Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. The Planning Commission's last meeting, they approved a conditional use permit for a 3-story office building at 800 East Railroad Avenue, and they also continued the discussion on revised landscape regulations. And the next meeting of the Planning Commission is June 22nd.
Okay.
And the air show, that was a success over the weekend. All good news, good weather. And they will have a meeting in here Wednesday, a debrief on what went well and what they could do better.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Giddings. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Giddings? Okay, next on the agenda is public hearings. There is one ordinance scheduled for public hearing this evening. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the ordinance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's ordinance serial number 2113, amending sections of the Wasilla Municipal Code within Title 5.16 Sales Tax to create certain uniform provisions for the collection and remittance of sales tax in alignment with the Alaska Uniform Remote Seller Sales Tax Code pursuant to WMC 516-225, Alaska Uniform Remote Seller Sales Tax Code adopted by reference.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 21-13 is open. Anyone who would like to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Okay. Public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2113?
So moved by Tim Johnson.
And a second?
Second by Velock.
It's been moved by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Velock to adopt ordinance serial number 2113. Is there discussion?
Yes. Councilman
Mr.
Johnson. Troy, can you tell us your plans for implementing the changes in the administration of this? Because we now have looked like we're going from a monthly only to a quarterly or annual option as far as submitting the tax receipts. I assume that you're going to have changes then to the online program that you currently have. Is that correct?
Through the mayor, Councilman Johnson. So to correct that a little bit, the monthly filing doesn't go away. Okay, so the monthly, quarterly, and now annual will be in effect. That being said, January is when it would go into effect. When you think about the annual filing, it just makes sense, right? So the effective date on that is January. Notification to taxpayers will commence, once it's adopted, and we'll formulate the letters and whatnot. That'll obviously go out, and based upon thresholds and that kind of thing for both quarterly and annual.
So then our online program will change as of January? I understood that the online didn't preclude monthly, that it would be just adding the two existing options.
That's correct. So the system allows that. New system does allow for these annual and quarterly filing. We don't have it turned on right now because we only have monthly, but we can facilitate that now through this new software.
So then we're going to add then the application process for the quarterly and the annual into our existing software, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Is there further discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilman Brown, you are the finance director. It may have been discussed in earlier discussions. Did someone do an analysis of the estimated tax that this would bring to the city versus what it costs for execution, enforcement, tracking, and collection?
So there's a few questions within that, right? So if you look at the filing sequence, all right, so we obviously looked at that, and interestingly enough, it actually provides benefit to the city in the sense of the what I'll call the low-end sales type businesses. We currently, in using 2020 as our base, there was 2,359 accounts that we looked at, and of that 2,359, 626 or 27% filed zero sales. Another one for annual filers, there's 760 accounts that would, if they all obviously took advantage of annual filing. The amount of sales tax that annual filing comes in is $42,000, right? So that's a cash flow that's easily managed. When we look at quarterly filing, there's 693 accounts if they all took advantage, 30%. It's about $174,000, $75,000 per quarter. Okay? Again, from a cash flow perspective, we can manage that. Another change that occurs within the code is obviously services. Now, services, there's a little bit of a trade there because right now, we get taxed for services here in the city, right? So to align the physically present with the remote, we're going to give up some services, but we have a chance to actually gain more from the outside bringing services into the city. That analysis is very difficult to do because we can't get into the details of those individual returns to know which way those sales are going. So from that perspective, not a complete analysis could be done.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, Councilman Rouse, to Mr. Tinkersley, could you describe some of these differences in layman's terms? I read through this whole thing, I think, 3 times, and I'm a business owner. I prepare taxes and file, well, I won't say regularly, but, you know, I get it done eventually. And so I'm curious what this means, what the big changes are. Like, you just hit on it a little bit, but this is all sort of in accountantese, and I don't speak that language. So just in layman's terms, could you describe what the big changes are to the community and what business groups are affected the most by this and how?
So when we look at so this came about obviously because of the remote seller sales tax commission. The council adopted to be part of that commission, and we did that code through reference in our code. So when that code changes, it changes our code. The main focus of that code and change is services. Now, let's split services just slightly. There's the service where, say, the painter goes and paints a house, right? If the painter goes to a location inside the city, that service was performed at where that house is located, and obviously taxable. If it's outside the city, it's not taxable. Pretty easy because you can pretty much decide where that service is performed. Now, if you take a business that does digitally or by mail or something like that, then it creates a question as to where the service is performed. And so to align the remote with the physical, those physical businesses, to align those, you have to look, you say where the service is performed, but what the service is performed is like, if I lived in Anchorage and I sent you work to be done, and you send that back to me in Anchorage, it's going to be taxed at Anchorage, not Wasilla. All right? Likewise, Kenai, Soldotna, if I send it to Kenai or Soldotna, they send it back digitally or by mail, it's going to be taxed in Soldotna because you're going to complete that service there. Okay? So there's a trade-off a little bit going on, but it was what that does is prevents dual taxation by Kenai or Soldotna, say, and Wasilla. And that's where the alignment has to occur and be fairness with the remote side. That's the big change within that code. The other one is in commissions with real estate agents, okay? It's where the house is located, okay? So if their house is located outside the city, it's now not going to be, they're not going to tax on the commission. If it's inside the city, we would continue to receive that. The commissions on real estate is about 40-ish thousand. Some of that 40,000 would stay inside, and we would continue to collect that. And houses located outside, obviously. The other part of that would be commissions received on landlord type maintenance kind of things. That could change as well. But that is really the main focus. And then the alignment of adding the quarterly and annually with the new software we got allows that piece. So.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, Councilman Bernie. Just to clarify, this does or does not include online sales tax?
Well, the whole thing includes online. The Alaska Remote Seller Sales Tax Commission adopted changes within their code. Because they did that, we adopt it by reference. With that being said, there's certain sections of our code that we single out. One of those is services. And so this ordinance aligns that service portion of our code with the Alaska Remote Sales Tax Commission's code.
And I'm just specifically talking about, you go online, shop at Costco, you're paying a sales tax through Costco, Costco send you a check.
That's correct. So,
Or sending the city a check, I'm sorry.
right, so if Costco would be required to register with the Alaska Remote Sales Tax Commission through their system, and if they deliver goods inside our boundaries, then they would collect sales tax and report to the commission. The commission then would give the money to the city.
And just to clarify, there's areas outside the city limits that share the same zip code?
If they're in, well, it's physical through, in the remote side, they have a mapping sequence. It's not necessarily based on zip. They can actually narrow down the boundary of the city of Wasilla. Now, if you're a post office, for example, a post office box, that potentially could be taxed even if you are physically reside, say, outside the city. If you pick up your mail at the post office here inside the city, more than likely it will be taxed, because that's where you'll receive it.
Thank you, Mr. Tankersley. So just so the council knows, we've worked on this for a long time. AML's worked on this for a long time. I was against it right from the get-go. This is an increase in tax. I don't think that, I mean, for me, this is an opportunity to show Alaska how and why Wasilla is better and can be better. Again, this is another tax increase on the citizens of Wasilla that we represent. So like I did, I don't know, I guess it was probably about 6 months to a year ago, I'm going to vote no on this. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Rousa, I have just another question, kind of a follow-up to Mr. Bernie's comments. So just as an example, an Amazon sale, they would be a collector of city sales tax, and they would send the city of Wasilla sales tax payments based on how many things were shipped to addresses within city limits?
Through the mayor, Councilman Rouse, that is correct. There's a number of businesses that are registering with the commission. Amazon, Apple, Target, a lot of the big ones are out there. Facebook, there's several, and it continues to grow. The Wayfair caused the ability for municipalities across the country to align the remote side, if you will, the digital age of transactions that occur both interstate and intrastate commerce, to create that fairness, that taxability fairness between the physical present business, the brick and mortar store, versus the businesses outside.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
to Mr.
Vlock.
Tankersley. So, Troy, is this ordinance is more just changing the way we collect it? It's not really voting to collect it or not. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. We are not changing any kind of taxability. However, we are aligning the two, the remote side with the physical side. If we don't do that, then you potentially create double taxation between two municipalities. Take Houston, and us. You can have a transaction in Houston where they say the house is going to get taxed by Houston. And we say it's going to get taxed where the real estate agent is located. Well, the real estate agent's located in Wasilla, but the house is located in Houston. Houston's going to tax it. We're going to tax it. Because what this does was create one tax.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Elsa?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Councilman Rausa. Just the only thing that stood out to me in this beyond what's written in the language is just a comment that I've heard on a couple occasions from owners of gas stations, and just wondering, so in the city of Wasilla, to my knowledge, we tax fuel. We charge city sales tax on fuel, and it actually increases the cost per gallon of gasoline in the city. And so oftentimes similar branded stations are actually less expensive outside the city. And, you know, I'm not sure to what extent or measure it prevents people from stopping in Wasilla to pump fuel, but, you know, if there is an opportunity to consider actual changes to, like you said, we're not actually changing what we're collecting tax on, we're just making some clarification for online sales, it sounds like. But I wonder, has there been any consideration of whether or not we should be taxing fuel at gas stations, charging city sales tax on fuel? I'm not talking about gas stations, sandwiches and soda and whatnot, but fuel itself. Is that something that's on anyone's radar?
To the mayor, to council, Rausa, not to my knowledge as far as being on the radar. It hasn't been, to my knowledge, here at the city as an item to exempt. That being said, it is, I can assure you, a large amount of sales tax. Sales tax is typically your last tax charged. When we talk about fuel at the pump, you got federal, state, and local tax, one on top of another. That's just the way it is, and it's been that way for a long time. In my prior place that I worked, I did do a complete analysis where we did take a look at that. That was a number of years ago, where a councilman at that time, or assemblyman, excuse me, at that time, wanted to exempt fuel, and it failed. But nonetheless, it was reviewed, and I did quite an extensive analysis down there as far as what it would take and the like. But at the end of the day, it failed because of the quantity of revenue and whatnot.
Thank you. And just a quick follow-up. I did some basic 30,000 foot level research on the subject, and Alaska's taxes on fuel are pretty favorable, pretty lightweight as compared to other states in the union, and so we've got it pretty good in terms of how much tax we pay. With that said, you're absolutely correct. It seems like there's a lot of taxes that are paid, and it creates a really small profit margin for the owners. They don't really make their money on fuel. They make their money on the sandwiches and soda and whatever else. At least that's what the owners of the gas stations in Wasilla that I know are telling me. And it's because of that that they can't make their rates in the city comparable to rates outside the city, because the profit margin is so small anyway. And I would be favorable of exempting fuel for the benefit of lower cost of gasoline or diesel fuel, I suppose, in city limits. But I understand that's not part of the discussion today. Wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, Councilman Brown, to Mr. Tinkerson, will this cause your staff to have to increase? Will it affect your staff numbers any?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance serial number 21-13.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Rousseau?
Yes.
Councilmember Bernie?
No.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Velock?
Yes.
Councilmember Harvey?
No.
Madam Mayor, the motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2913 passes with Councilmembers Rousseau, Johnson, Brown, and Velock in support, Councilmembers Bernie and Harvey opposed.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is persons to be heard. Eileen Falkenstein, you have 3 minutes, and state your first and last name for us, please.
My name is Eileen Falkenstein. I represent Wasilla area seniors. My first comment is a compliment to the Wasilla Airshow Advisory Committee. I was at the Airshow Sunday, and it was great. Really did a good job. There's a lot of things happening at Wazi. We've got some beautification going on, beautiful plants. We've had some planters delivered to the residents, and they've been able to plant gardens. They're planter boxes, so they're not having to bend over. Makes it easy for them to grow gardens. Willow houses in full swing. We've got applications coming in for people to move into our new building. And of course, I'm promoting Miles for Meals. We are in the last stage of that. The run is the 26th. So we're still collecting donations for that event. Our virtual auction, which was a first run, profited $11,000 towards Miles for Meals. We're very happy with that success. And WASI just keeps being there for our seniors. We've opened the dining room a little more. We've restarted the lunch pickup with transportation. So the bus is going out, the shuttle bus is going out and picking up seniors and bringing them to the center so they can have lunch. And that's pretty much it. If you're so inclined, I brought a little donation beer that will be happy to eat your donations and feed the seniors. So thank you very much.
If I may, just on a personal note, I have a friend of mine whose mother lives there, and we were talking about Wassy this weekend, and man, he couldn't be happier with his mom being there. So I just wanted to applaud you for just making a home for everybody there.
And they really
And your
do
team.
take care of them. They do a great job.
Yep.
But thank you. I'll let them know. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you for the time.
Stu Graham, you're up next.
I just had to hear you say that.
I'm glad I didn't have to follow them.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of the council, city staff. My name is Stu Graham, proud resident of the city of Wasilla, and intend to remain that way. I wanted to come today because there's an item on the agenda where it'll be going into executive session to talk about the annual review of your city clerk. As most of you are aware, I did sit on the council for 6 years. I also served on the Alaska Municipal League Board for 2 years as a vice president and president, and have dealt with many clerks throughout the state and throughout the nation, and I'm here to assure you that you have got the best of the best. And I hope that during your executive session that you relay that to your clerk. She has done, to show my age, a crackerjack job of doing things. And I know, 3 of the council members, this is your first year on the council, and so you haven't had a whole lot of interaction with the clerk. But I can assure you, as time goes by, as you fulfill your term on the council, she will become the best friend you have when it comes to making things run right, when it comes to getting information, and when it comes to assuring that our city is, properly represented, not just here, at the council, but also at the state level where she works with the Association of Municipal Clerks and the International Association as well. So I just wanted to come before you today and say Jamie Newman is a treasure. Please show her that during your review. Thank you very much.
Mr. Graham, that's one thing that you and I can agree on.
We say on a lot of stuff. We just argue about a lot of stuff.
I know, we do.
How much did she pay you to say that?
That comes later.
No, I can tell you that Jamie was Clerk of the Year 2 years ago, right? Yes. Yeah, 2 years ago. So that is a great honor in her circle. Okay,
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, before we move on to the consent agenda,
Yes.
I just have a question on action memorandums 2126 and 2127. When will both of those be coming up for approval? Or are they up for approval today? All right, so if I may, Madam Mayor, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I should have done this at the beginning of the meeting, if we can move AM serial number 2126 to new business.
Okay, you just want number 1. Okay. Madam Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
And before I read it real quick, page 76 of the packet, this is in regard to AM number 2127. You all have what I call a laydown item. There was an error when the packet was run, and so we wanted to correct that on record. Doesn't change. The banking services RFP is still awarded to First National Bank, but the total costs of all scores with cost, the total of all scores with cost on the revised version is Wells Fargo, that's at 189. First National Bank of Alaska 194 and Key Bank 186. So unless there's objection, we'll accept those numbers because they are correct. And so with that, I will read the consent agenda into the record. We have the regular meeting minutes of May 24th, 2021. We have no introductions. We have 2 resolutions recommended for approval. The first is resolution serial number 2114, accepting an Alaska Department of Health and Social Services grant in the amount of $413,017.11 and transferring full responsibility for the grant to the Mat-Su Health Foundation in support of the CDC community-driven COVID-19 testing and vaccination program. Second is resolution serial number 2115, authorizing the mayor to renew for a period of 3 years the professional services agreement with Matanuska Telephone Association in the amount of $62,500 annually for naming rights of the Curtis D. Menard Memorial Sports Center Turf Arena. And lastly, under our consent agenda is AM number 2127, awarding a 3-year contract to First National Bank of Alaska for banking services in the amount of $83,730.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Brown, second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Burney and seconded by Councilmember Brown to approve the consent agenda as read. If there are no objection to the motion, hearing none, the motion is approved. Unfinished business, there is none this evening. Madam Clerk, please read the next item of business.
Thank you. Under new business then, item 10.1, that's the update from administration on emergency response efforts related to COVID-19.
And there is nothing new on the COVID-19. We have not taken any actions, any new actions.
Madam Mayor?
And we have the AM, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Short of going into committee of the whole, I'd like to get kind of a clarification, if I may, on kind of where the state's at, what the administration has in mind, how we're moving forward. Where's the touchdown at the goalpost? If we need to move into a community of a whole, I'll be more than happy to.
Okay, as far as I know, our numbers keep going down, and they are still pushing vaccinations. Ours was like, the Matt Valley was like 3 point something week before last. I wasn't here last week, so I don't know.
Is it safe to say that we need to keep this emergency response effort in place in order to receive further funding if it comes up? Okay, thank you.
Okay, are we doing the AM on the new business?
Council's ready?
Yeah.
Want me to read that?
Yes, please.
Next item of business is AM number 2126. That's contract amendment to Big Dipper Construction in the amount of $129,200 for town site parking lot improvements for fiscal year 2022.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve AM number 2126.
Is there a second?
Second that, Councilmember Velock.
It's been moved by Councilmember Burney and seconded by Councilmember Velock to approve AM number 2126. Is there discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Burney. So I've noticed a lot of the civil projects have gone to the same contractor over the last, I guess since TWO's had the service contract with the city. And I understand that $130,000 is not a big civil contract or dirt work contract or paving contract. What concerns me the most, I think, is seems to be the same contractor every time. So I don't feel like either there's other contractors out there not interested in bidding with the city, or that or they're just not being sought after. And by no means am I saying Public Works is not doing their diligence. But again, when you see the same contractor pop up over and over and over and over again, you start to scratch your head a little bit. And I'd just like to see what I'd like some discussion on what our RFP process is, if we're getting other proposals, or are we just going to keep seeing Big Dipper over and over and over?
Mr. Giddings.
Yeah, so this project was bid last year. We had 3 bids, and Big Dipper was the low bid, and this is the second phase of that contract. I just bid the road paving thing. The road paving project just bid, and Big Dipper again was low on that. I had 5 or 6 bids on that job. So it's he sharpens his pencil really well. We advertise in the Daily News. We put it on the website. It goes out to all the members to if they're interested in bidding or not bidding.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, if they're the low man, then and they're qualified, there's no reason why we shouldn't. Again, we don't get the benefit of seeing all the other proposals, so we just see the same name, right? So.
And also, so we bid the airport maintenance, and that's be in front of you next meeting, and North Star Asphalt and Paving got that contract.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, Councilman Rausa, I just want to comment to that. Very fortunate as members of the city of Wasilla to have Big Dipper as the low bidder, because just based on my experience and seeing the quality of work that they provide, they're probably also amongst the best of the best, and so I've never seen a poor project done by Big Dipper. I think we're very fortunate to have them as the low bidder. I'd be glad to see them on every single proposal, but I'm also very glad for having a scoring system in place to keep them accountable to the city and to keep our finances in check. But very glad to see that this project will be executed by such a professional contractor as Big Dipper.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Bernie, how do you vote on the adoption of AM number 2126?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Velock.
Yes.
Councilmember Harvey.
Yes.
Councilmember Rousseau.
Yes.
Motion to approve AM 2126 passes unanimously with Councilmembers Rousseau, Bernie, Johnson, Brown, Velock, and Harvey in support.
Thank you, ma'am. Next on the agenda is communications. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the items under communications.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no informational memorandums this evening. We do have 4 sets of commission meeting minutes, Planning Commission meeting minutes, May 25th, Wasilla Airshow Advisory Committee minutes, May 4th, May 19th, and May 26th, 2021.
Okay, are there any questions from the council? Hearing none, next on the agenda is audience comments. Is there anyone present who would like to address the city council at this time? Mr. Graham.
There's no sign up for this one. Good evening again, Madam Mayor, members of the council and staff. My name is Stu Graham. I'm a resident of the city, a proud resident, and intend to remain that way. I just had one comment today. In general, you can see that as you sit in the city council, you have 6 elected representatives in front of you. And that's a good, healthy number to make a decision. Some of you have sat on the Planning Commission before where you have 5 persons to make decisions. And right now there's a vacancy on there, and it's been vacant for a while. So I just hope that you'll work with the administration to get that filled so that you do have a good representation when you're looking at the future development of the city. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the city council at this time? Hearing none, we'll close audience comments. And next on the agenda is comments from clerk, attorney, and council. And we will start with Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think handed out tonight, you should have had, if not, we'll get it to you very soon, a memo on the AML conference in August, be held in Fairbanks. That's the AML Summer Conference. And so if you do plan on attending, please complete that form and get it back to our office. You can either drive, or we're happy to make airfare reservations for you for our new council members. Of course, the city will cover all of your travel costs, your hotel, and then also you are eligible for some per diem reimbursement. So looks like a good conference. Be looking for that. If you don't have it with you tonight, you will have it very soon. And we will see you all here for our next regular meeting. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Attorney.
I have no comments tonight, Mayor.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, I want to make a comment. I've had the pleasure of attending 2 of our events. The memorial service was excellent. I really want to commend the people responsible for putting that together. That was a very good event. And the air show, again, was a very good event. So I want to commend those people who worked diligently on those events. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Velock.
Comment, Mayor.
Councilmember Harvey.
No comments.
Councilmember Rousseau.
I'd like to just briefly repeat what I said earlier about Big Dipper, and I wanted to mention that for our public improvement projects, our civil projects, I would personally like to see us move away from a low bid award to more of a comprehensive scoring system like what we saw for the banking services today, where we're seeing approach and methodology, experience and qualification, references analyzed and weighed in along with the cost. And I'm not sure to what extent we are using that system or not. But if we're doing it one way or the other, my preference would certainly be a bit of a broader view on the subject so that we're not always choosing low bid. I think that in the example of the banking, we chose the high bid because they scored the best. So on so many other points, but in any case, yeah, that's what I wanted to mention today. Thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
Madam Mayor, and I want to ditto what the other councilman said. Memorial, 2 events I attended was outstanding with good representation from the city, and the air show was magnificent. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Bernie.
Yeah, I'd also like to comment on the air show. Mr. Giddings, that advisory committee you have, hold on to them. They did an excellent job. I was actually getting a cup of coffee at Perk up near the house, and the poor girls there, they're like, "Did you see that plane almost crash?" I was like, that. And they realized, of course, it was. They figured out it was the air show, but it was pretty neat to see. That was quite the show, and the number of people that came into the city. I mean, man, I saw it on the news this morning, and I mean, well, just what great advertisement for the city of Wasilla. So that's a show to be proud of right there, no doubt. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, and we definitely, we have some things going on in the city that we are all very, very proud of. WASI is coming on strong with that other building, and the new planter boxes that they have got for the seniors so that they don't have to bend over and whatever. They're up high and they can enjoy their gardening and stuff, and that's great. So I'm over there at least. I try to be there once a week, you know, because I'm reserving my place. So anyway, and the air show and the committee, they did an excellent job. We're very proud of them. And, you know, Wasilla has something to offer for everybody. Our 4th of July parade is coming up. The community picnic. And the fireworks, you know. So we have stuff coming up, and we are working diligently to have other stuff, because it's great to show Wasilla off, because, you know, I'm very proud of that. But anyway, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. And thank you to the audience. It's great to see people out there instead of empty chairs. The frontiersman is even here. So, okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I move. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Wait. Before we move to the next item of business, all directors except the city clerk are excused and welcome to exit the meeting.
Can I get Wasilla to bring one of those boxes over to my place so I don't have to get no?
Could we have a 2-minute break?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
2 minutes?
We are going to have a clerk. Please read the title of the executive session.
That's the annual review of the city clerk. We're going in for subjects that tend to prejudice the reputation and character of any person, provided the person may request a public discussion.
Madam Clerk requests that the review take place in executive session. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor?
And is there a motion to enter executive session?
I want to get this over with, apparently.
Apparently,
I'm excited to get in there. I move to enter executive session for subjects that tend to prejudice the reputation and character of any person, provided the person may request a public discussion, in particular to hold the annual performance review of the city clerk. Those present in the executive session will be the entire city council and the city clerk.
Councilman Brown, second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Bernie, and seconded by Councilmember Brown to enter executive session for subjects that tend to prejudice the reputation and character of any person, provided the person may request a public discussion. The purpose of the executive session tonight is to hold the annual review of the city clerk. Those present in the executive session will be the entire city council and the city clerk. Is there discussion on the motion? Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The council is entering executive session at 6:54 p.m.
Councilmember Bernie, I guess I was chosen to make some comments. It's kind of
Okay, is there a motion, council?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Madam Mayor, I move to authorize an annual step increase for the city clerk from 25F to 25G, effective July 1st, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second by Councilman Johnson.
Sorry,
we rolled.
I think it's going to die, Gene. It has been moved by Councilmember Bernie and seconded by Councilmember Johnson to, Mr. Bernie, would you reinstate that, please? Restate it.
Madam Mayor, I move to authorize an annual step increase for the city clerk from 25F to 25G, effective July 1st, 2021.
All right. It's been moved by Councilmember Bernie, seconded by Councilmember Johnson to increase for the city clerk to authorize an annual step increase for the city clerk from 25F to 25G effective July the 1st, 2021. Is there discussion on the motion?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Bernie?
I was asked to kind of be the spokesperson for what we all agreed to. I think we're all on the same page that no one is more deserving than the clerk for this step increase. Her professionalism continues to show through. Her helpfulness, her leadership, the way she can just get things done for people, the way she responds, the way she helps the community, and of course the way she keeps us all out of trouble. The way she dives into the code book and makes effective changes, and not just changes for the sake of making changes, the changes that make sense. Her goal to complete the upgrade of the AV system, we're all, as a council, in favor of assisting her in any way we can to help her do that. We discussed actually adding a goal, and that is to continue to mentor and professionally develop the current assistant clerk for future roles. And so we've asked her to add that onto her list of goals. Madam Mayor, I think we have a gem of a city clerk and the clerk's office as a whole. And I think the city of Wasilla is better off for it. I think the residents are better off for it. And as I said when I opened my comments, I don't think there's anybody more deserving of a step increase than our current city clerk. Thank you. I hope I summarized it for everybody. If I missed something, please.
Mr. Rausa?
Yes, just two things that popped to mind. Humility and selflessness. I think those are one thing, really, but and then the other is she's a true servant, and through that servanthood, she's a leader, and that's how you know that you're really truly a servant, and that's very, I don't think you can't earn that. It's a character trait that's developed, and is the mark of a person of deep integrity, and yeah, like what Mr. Bernie said, very, very fortunate.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. With no further business at hand, the meeting is adjourned at 7:14 p.m.
James Harvey
Has left.